take that as disrespectful.
There's a lot of you say that we take disrespectful, but for the
And it's not shit you said I take disrespectful. No, Imani, I'm not trying. I'm not potting. I'm not potting. Nigga, don't fucking stand up. What you doing? Are we talking or we potting? No, every time you get mad, you talk like they and they not. No, you told me you sucker. That's the same shit.
No, y'all can talk outside. No, y'all.
I'm talking to this man outside.
Not outside.
Mark and Flip almost fight. That's right, these were the two cast members Joe Budden was referring to almost fighting Friday night. Yes, on Friday night of last week, Joe Budden went on Spaces and said two cast members almost came to blows.
Pay-per-view it, or do you want to just put it out?
If that really happened, I really think
Look, you wouldn't know, right? Because you're in here having a blast.
it's true. And if
having
we
a
do
slice.
have that, hold on,
And after that, many thought he was engaging in content over everything tactics. But from today's show, we can see that wasn't the case. So, this whole Mark versus Flip situation has been brewing over the last few months, with the two of them fighting for control of the show. It's almost like a reconciliation of Joe Budden's past and Joe Bunn's future. On one side, you have Flip, the antic-driven man who's able to entertain in an empty room. On the other side, you have Marc Lamont Hill, the professor who can take talks to the next level. Over the last few weeks, it really started to hit a fever pitch with exchanges like this.
Getting at the topic.
No, because that's what you got brought here for.
We are here to talk about the topic.
You got brought here for to talk. You can run your mouth so he can look at
That's
you.
what the podcast is, bro.
Too many people talking.
Mark and Flip.
No,
He got me. He about to fry me up.
No, I'm not frying you. It's too many people talking.
Flip.
I'm not gonna talk over.
So we'll all be quiet. What topic do you want to talk about?
Nothing. But
Now, the movie I had just made about a week ago, I had predicted that some type of blow-up like this was going to occur.
You, Imani, outside of the last contract negotiation.
And that ain't
This
short.
short. 2 years ago.
Oh,
2 years ago, I took a short. Wait, what did he say?
That is what Flip is referring to as Mark Sneakers.
And I love y'all.
Then, Flip says he's a team player.
Expect you.
It's not sneaky. I'm talking to you. You're not listening.
Then Flip says,
But Mark is like, whoa. He answers with incredulous questioning, like, you really think you're a team player? You think so? Of course I am.
Explain how he's a team player.
Of course.
Like you are
The
good,
movement-
you're generous, you welcome new people, you don't get insecure, you don't fight for space.
And as a fan of the show, and as anybody else watching the show, everyone knows Flip is not a team player. That is one of Flip's methods. He pays lip service to certain ideas he wants out there about him. He is far from a team player. He has fought almost everyone on the show, and he has been the reason for some of the most outrageous acts of unprofessionalism that have ever occurred on the show. Then Mark follows up by letting the chopper go.
A man come to me like, yo, hey, I gotta put out more. I need you.
I mean, this guy was saying a lot of stuff, and I think it was just getting there, slowly but surely. And Flip follows up with his own disagreement about the claim that he is not a team
I know
player.
what I already did. I know what I'm here to do. You can make all those faces you want to over there too, both of y'all. I know what I'm here to do.
Flip then kind of unknowingly reveals he quit the show, outlining that he has already made an effect.
Hello. I got a question.
now I think deep
Essentially trying to explain the way he's been acting on the show as of late. Many have noticed he's been distant, he hasn't really been taking part in talks, still arriving late. And it's important to also remember this talk is happening all under the specter of Melissa Ford's absence. Well, not absent, she's no longer on the show. Could Flip's antics have led to Melissa Ford's exit and this blow-up from Mark? Then, Flip admits that Joe might have told Flip to fall back in light of Mark's addition. Now, I don't know if that really happened, but that just looks like the context of this conversation. Jaewon, who happens to be there, also does a great job of pointing out that Flip, with this back and forth, was insinuating he would take a pay cut for the rest of the team, and then asking Mark directly if he would take a pay cut so other members of the staff could receive greater pay or the same pay. And Imani even takes it further and asks Mark if he would take a pay cut for anyone up there. But Mark says not everyone should get paid the same on the show, and says some people deserve to make less.
Up here to be the smart, but
And they bring you to be the funny.
If
It
we
brings Flip-
say you could impossible.
Then Mark almost makes a joke that sets Flip off.
Yo, come on. I'll never say. What we talking about? Everything Joe said. Yes, bro. Is it funny? You
Now, I think these comments stirred some feathers, not just from Flip, but I even think Ish and Ice might have looked at this funny. And it also harkens back to the conversation that they had about Hot 97, and how if certain members of the team that have, more power in the workplace, if they say other people are messing up, is that bad on that coworker?
Yo, come on. I'll never say. What we talking about? Everything Joe said. Yes, bro. Is it funny? You
He doesn't go all the way, but Flip knows that Mark was about to say a joke that was wicked, and he starts to pump his chest up.
Well, really, Joe Budden and Ian, I suspect.
It's like a new kid that tried to suck up to a boss. He got to try to point forward.
Saying that Mark always tries to suck up to the rest of the group? Well, really, Joe, Bud, and Ian, I imagine.
On the scenes and try to backbite and talk about.
Neither do I.
And Mark follows back by saying he's the one that's always sucking up to Joe.
Trying to communicate and speak to people to be accepted. That's this community that just built through the community.
And I must say that yes, it's true. Flip always is trying to fight. Like, he'll argue with Joe, but he's always constantly seeking support from him as well. Flip responds by saying he does it on the show, but that Mark backbites behind the scenes and tries to manipulate.
But now I won't call you in the future. It's done. Because you was talking. Then it's done. You talking
Essentially saying that Mark is a snake. Now, I think this is where Mark started to get really angry and upset. I don't think he likes the idea of him being some type of, Machiavellian figure that is a puppet master and betrays people behind the scenes. He doesn't want that out there. I'm not saying that that's what he does, but he doesn't even want that story out there. And Flip put out that seed, and now people are going to be running with that narrative moving forward. That's just how tales go. Mark then starts to get really upset because this insinuation was made, asking Flip to clear up if he actually thinks that he does that.
Who it was?
It's gotta be flipping Mark.
That would be great.
Holy
There's no way flipping Mark got into it. Stop.
Danny was provoking that.
Oh, so I'm missing some tea then. Is that true?
Yeah, Danny was just talking about that this week.
Yeah.
On a video? Which video?
It was the Mark vs. Flip Part 20 video. I dropped it 2 days ago.
I'm going to pay Danny to stop making videos.
First, Flip says he doesn't do that.
Work at the job and you have influence and power, but you're not the boss. Is it f***ed up to try to get somebody fired?
Yes. If they don't mean you any physical harm or you don't feel threatened by them in a real way, I think you're taking food off another man.
But then he says he don't know if Mark do that.
New kid that tried to suck up to a boss. He got to try to point flaws out of everybody else.
And Mark
So he's playing with word meanings there. Mark follows up saying that he's going to keep Flip's secrets, and they then get into some back and forth about what that may mean, with Flip saying Mark likes to use tricky words, and Mark saying those words that he uses are only tricky to him. Obviously an insult to Flip's intelligence. But I wonder what Mark means by lies. What type of secrets is it? The secrets that Flip has been saying on the radio about family life not being well? Is it lies about, Flip being late or Flip hating on Joe? What's going on? Leave the signs in the comments. What do you think are the secrets? Flip then says Mark is seeking acceptance within the different fan communities of the Joe Budden podcast, like the Joe Budden Twitter group. So it seems like members of the show are put off by how Flip always inserts streak tactics and lingo into content, and Mark finally got upset with that and called it out. Mark then starts to walk outside, seemingly insinuating that he's prepared to fight and take it all the way. But then Corey, the show's muscle, reminds everyone that they are in hot water from the case where Joe Budden was sleepwalking, and that if there's a fight, it's gonna look really bad. And Joe Budden even says, y'all, if y'all are gonna fight, y'all need to go to the projects up the street, because we are in hot water with the neighbors. And there you have it. This argument will have effects for months to come, maybe years to come, because it feels like the $20 million announcement by Joe is still rearing its ugly head. I feel like the context of this might have even made me gleam that Flip did take a pay cut and then thought he was holding the team down, and then Marc joined and got paid more than him. It almost seems like that is something that may have happened from the way the conversation went. And then the body language was crazy too, like Ish and Ice were not at all trying to get involved or break things down. I wouldn't be surprised if Ish and Ice were agreeing with Flip and did not like the stand that Marc took about people getting paid less than others. Then there's Mona, who just got to the show, and it's probably like, yo, these dudes are crazy. And it says a lot that Mona came from $1 million worth of game and is looking at the Joe Budden podcast like y'all are insane. But Mona is also similar to Melissa Ford in this way. Who else came from another successful podcast and then went to the Joe Budden podcast and realized, yo, this place is crazy? Melissa Ford. She was on Hollywood Unlocked. And both, when they first came, would reflect on how bad the situations were on their previous podcast, only to realize that they may have escaped one jail to end up in another prison. Plus, man, it's time. I don't want to diss Flip. I don't want to a lot of people say I have problems with Flip, but the truth is that he just is an agent of chaos, and it might be time for him to leave. It might be time, not for the sake of the Joe Budden show only, but for the sake of himself as well. You don't want things to escalate to the point where there's a fight, where if Flip goes out there and Marc goes out there, they seriously hurt themselves. And I think this is further proof that Joe Budden just doesn't know how to prevent problems. But in his lack of prevention, he increases the entertainment value of his show. But let me know what you think. Do you feel like this was a serious situation that they will sweep under the rug? I know there are a lot of folks who always take the stand of their brothers. They love each other. This is how it gets handled in the hood. Nah, this is a workplace, guys. It is not how things get handled in the office. And if they come to blows, things will never be the same. I don't think it's human to get into a disagreement, fight each other, and then sit back down and work with people. I'm sorry, it's not a real thing. It may be when you're younger, when you're growing up. But at this advanced age, all of them are. No, that's not going to go down that way. Also, Jay-Wan returned this episode. Must say, he wasn't too bad. I know a lot of people don't want Jay-Wan back, me being one of them. But maybe he's getting better, and a step away from the pod mic is allowing him to rethink things a certain way. But we will be monitoring this case. Remember that this is something that has been brewing for a long time, damn near a year, with the arrival of Marc Lamont Hill. And it's also telling that Joe would tell me in places that he wants to pay me to stop doing videos.
But now I won't call you in the future. It's done. Because you was talking. Then it's done.
And now, Marc is being called out by Flip for going to the JBTV group and also going to MySpace as well. Flip does not like that, and it's a weird trigger that he has, and I wonder why. I don't know if he feels like the people behind the scenes in the Spaces community are manipulating things, and he doesn't like that. Show members are open to it. Then things really boil over when Flip calls those acts sucker. Yeah, I have to say it. Marc loses it and tells Flip not to call him a sucker. Marc's body language then turns violent, with Flip saying he doesn't care, and Marc saying, F you. That's right, Marc was taking it there all the way. And Flip says he wasn't calling Marc a sucker, but that he just likes to do sucker stuff. Good words, y'all. He was calling Marc a sucker, but because it was getting escalated and he understood it was the workplace, he tried to back off that statement. Imani then gets up to calm Marc down by rubbing his shoulder, but we all know that never really works, and it actually makes things worse. Perhaps Imani was actually trying to get there and be in a position to stop Marc if he ever got up. Flip then stands up, and Marc gets more defensive, like, hey man, why are you standing up? Don't stand up, you better not stand up. So Marc was really upset. Philly was getting strong within him. The streets of fights, the soul of Bernard Hopkins was burning in him. Then Joe wants Marc to calm down, but Marc says he doesn't like how Flip tries to emasculate the pod members with his street methods. Now that is an assertion made not just by Marc, but also by other members of the show. Remember when Ish told Flip, hey...